Station Houston, 1 minute until the event. Copy, thumbs up. Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston Station, we're ready for the event.
Houston ACR, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Houston ACR. How do you hear me?
Houston ACR, we have you loud and clear.
Please stand by for opening remarks.
Welcome, Brighton Elementary School students, staff, and friends. I'm Lily Donaldson. I'm a PhD student at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute studying controlled environment agriculture. I'm also a research assistant at the Climate Change Research Initiative at NASA's Goddard Institute of Space Studies. There, I research extreme climate events by comparing NASA climate models to real-world satellite data. I've been helping students at Brighton learn about the science of agriculture and food. Here in West Tennessee, agriculture is very important. In this county, over half of the land is farmland. Today, students at Brighton will have the opportunity to ask questions to astronauts living aboard the International Space Station. I know our students are very excited, so without further ado, here is our first question.
Hi, I'm Lacey, and I was wondering, do plants in space grow differently than plants on Earth?
First off, hello to everyone at Brighton Elementary School. Welcome on board the International Space Station. Lacey, so plants need the same things in space that they do on Earth. You know, they need water, they need light, they need some form of food or fertilizer. They need the atmosphere to be right, not too hot, not too cold, the right mix of oxygen and carbon dioxide. But how they get those things can be a little different here in this weightless environment than they might be back at home because, you know, water, it floats and they might not necessarily get sunlight. So they need the same things, and we're studying how they grow here in space.
My name is Jimmer, and I want to know if food on space tastes the same as food on Earth.
Hi. Food in space tastes a little bit different. I think our sense of taste is affected by being up here, perhaps because we feel a little bit congested. We have a higher amount of blood in our upper bodies and our heads, and I think that makes us feel a little bit congested, and that impacts the taste. On top of that, we don't have a real kitchen, so we can't prepare fresh food. All of our food is long-term stable, which means that a lot of it is freeze-dried. We have to add water, or it's packaged in a way that we just have to heat it, and then we typically eat it directly out of a pouch. And that, of course, also affects the taste, because taste is also affected by what you can see, what you can smell. That whole experience forms part of the taste of the meal, and we kind of miss that in space. So food tastes a little bit different up here.
Hi, my name is Sydney, and my question is, how do you water plants in space, and what happens if the water floats away?
Sydney, that's a great question. So you're right. You know, back home on Earth, we might just have a little watering container that we water our plants with, but here in space, you know, the water just floats. And so we need to try different methods for watering the plants and making sure it actually gets to their roots. So here on Space Station, we've had different ways of trying that. We've had plants where we don't even have soil. The roots are just in the water themselves or in air. And sometimes we have, for example, our advanced plant habitat. That has a system where it's automatically watering the plants. Sometimes we're watering the plants using a syringe to make sure we get the water directly to where it's needed in the plants. And so it is definitely a challenge, and we're studying different ways and what might work best to get the plants the right amount of water and to the right places.
Hi, my name is Jackson, and I'm in 5th grade. What happens to soil when it goes in space?
Well, that's a really good question. One of the difficulties, of course, is just having the soil where the plants can grow in it. You know, you have to keep the soil in place around the roots. So sometimes it's easier just to have the roots growing in paper that's soaked in water. Because that really is one of the challenges, is how do you maintain the soil around the roots of the plant?
Hi, my name is Cooper. What is freeze-drying food, and what does it taste like?
Cooper, so freeze-drying food starts out basically as it sounds. You first freeze it, so then the water in it becomes solid, ice, and then I believe the process is through sublimation. So you then reduce the pressure, and that causes that ice, the solid water, to sublimate and vaporize, basically. And so it's a way of dehydrating the food. And we do that because water is really heavy. And so it costs a lot and takes up a lot of mass and volume to ship water up to space. And so we take the water out, and then up here we can regenerate water. You know, even from our sweat, we are able to recover a lot of that so that we're able to consume it. And then we add it back into the food. And really, it tastes quite good. So I've got a packet right here of rehydratable shrimp fried rice. And we have a water dispenser that we connect it to, add the water back into the food. And then once we heat it, it really tastes quite good.
Hi, my name is Mallory, and what kind of plants can grow in space? Where we live, farmers grow cottons and soybeans. Can those grow in space?
My guess is you could probably get almost anything to grow up here. So far, we've grown lettuce, cabbage, kale, flowers, and later on during this mission, if everything goes according to plan, we'll even grow tomatoes. And that's something I'm looking really forward to, because if we're lucky, maybe they'll even let us eat the tomatoes. And that'll be one of the few times during this mission where we'll actually get a chance to eat fresh food.
My name is Brooklyn. I would like to know, what is your favorite food to eat in space?
Well, Brooklyn, as Andy mentioned, it's pretty hard to come across fresh food up here. So one of my favorite meals up here is actually, I like to take, we were just talking about the rehydratable food, so I take a beef patty that needs to be rehydrated, add the water back into it, heat it up, and then I put it on top of what we call wheat flatbread, and I call it my little space burger. So that's probably one of my favorite things to eat up here. But as Andy mentioned, hopefully soon we'll get to grow some tomatoes, and I think some of us will get to eat those.
Hi, my name is Ruby. I wanted to know if the plants in space need sunlight to grow.
Well, plants need light. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of windows on board the space station. There are just a few windows, which also means that any plants we grow won't be exposed to direct sunlight. So we have to use artificial light, and that's usually sufficient to get the plants to grow.
Hi, my name is Emery, and my question is, how did you become an astronaut?
Hi, Emery. So first off, I'd like to point out that if you were to take a look at just the 7 of us crew members on board right now, we've all taken very different paths to get here. For me personally, I served as a pilot in the Marine Corps. I flew helicopters and then became a test pilot before I joined NASA as an astronaut. Andy, for example, was an aerospace engineer, and he's lived and worked all over the world. Some of our other crewmates, Satoshi is a doctor. Laurel worked on, you talk about the extreme environment of space, but she worked on submarines in the extreme deep sea environment. So you can take many different paths to getting here, but I think something that's true of all of us is we were all passionate about what we were working on, so we were able to excel in our individual fields, and also that we're all good team players. We have to live and work up here together we'll be up here for about 6 months, but in the future we're talking about 2-3 year missions when we start talking about going to Mars. So that's another very important aspect.
Hi, my name's Tyler. How do you cook food in space without a stove and microwave?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We don't have a kitchen on board the space station. What we do have is it's a sort of like an oven where we can put in food that just needs to be warmed up. It's already been cooked. It's already been prepared on ground, and the only thing we have to do is heat it up so that it becomes a little bit more delicious. Alternatively, we also have dehydrated food, which means all we have to do is add hot water, let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we can eat it. So that's how we prepare our food in space.
Hi, my name is Talia. How do you get the right nutrients in space?
Talia, that's a really good question because as we talked about, it's difficult to get fresh food up here. So that's part of the reason that we are studying how can we grow our own fresh foods here on space station, and also to eventually set us up for living on the moon or on Mars. Right now we're doing it on really small scale, but eventually if we're going to sustain somewhere far away from Earth, we'll have to do it on a larger scale. For here on space station, we can on our cargo vehicles be sent up fresh foods, and also we have some of our standard menu items. We have things like asparagus and kale and other vegetables, so we're making sure we get our nutrients, and then sometimes supplementing with vitamins.
My name is Snowden, and I'm in 3rd grade, and I have a question to ask. We've been learning about energy. Does the space station make any energy there?
All of our energy comes from the sun's light. So we have solar arrays outside the space station that collect the energy from the sun's light, convert it into electricity, and that's what powers the entire space station. So everything, all our energy comes from sunlight through solar cells that convert that light into electricity.
Hi, my name is Kate, and I wanted to ask a question. Do astronauts from different countries eat different kinds of food in space.
Kate, so we do have several different types of food from different countries. We generally have a standard menu that's made by the Food Lab at NASA, and about 80% of our nutrition comes from that. And then about 20% we can kind of select different items. And I know, for example, Andy is from the European Space Agency, Satoshi from the Japanese Space Agency, and we have our Russian colleagues from Roscosmos. And so those agencies also make their own food products that they can send up here. And so we like to share those and get variety in our meals.
Hi, my name is Connor, and does the space station have any robots, and what do they do?
We do have robots up here. We've had several different types of robots over the years. Currently, we have some free-flying robots that'll fly around the module and navigate on their own. The idea is that perhaps in the future, we could have robotic assistants that could be doing some of the routine maintenance tasks for us, or who could be following us around, providing us with real-time information that we need as we do our jobs up here. So currently, yeah, we have some small robots that fly around actually in the module that we're standing in right now, and they're learning how to navigate and how to fly on their own up here.
My name is Avery Kate. How will astronauts have enough food to fly all the way to Mars?
Avery Kate, that is one of the key questions. How will we have enough food when we talk about going so far? And so one thing we're studying is how we can use the resources where we're going. So on the surface of the moon or on the surface of Mars, maybe the soil or regolith there as isn't usable for growing something, but maybe if we add something to it, then we can grow plants and food for us to eat. Certainly, I imagine we'll be bringing some with us, and maybe we also have some sent ahead of us and stationed in bases that we can use. And so I think it'll be a combination of all of those, because it would be hard to carry with you enough food for the entire mission.
My name is Wyatt. Can you eat the plants grown in space?
You can. The question is more if we're allowed to, because usually the plants are part of a science experiment, and the scientists, they really want the plants back so that they can study them in their laboratories on ground. But if we're really, really lucky, sometimes we get to get a small taste of some of the plants that we grow up here.
Hello, my name is Jedediah, and I would like to know if pizza would be a good food to eat in space.
I love that question. You probably love pizza as much as we do, and absolutely, we have had a few pizza nights already up here since we got up here a little over 2 months ago. Our way of making pizza is we take the tortillas, work really well because they don't have a lot of crumbs, and then we'll take whatever we have. We have tomato sauce and various things. I think last time we put some mayonnaise on there as well. And we definitely have made different kinds of pizzas and tasted them all to see which ones we like best.
Hi, I'm Lee. What happens if you drop crumbs in a spaceship for it float around?
Well, you might wonder why we make pizzas out of tortillas. And the reason we have tortillas up here is because they don't crumb as much as regular bread. Because when you crumb up here, the crumbs don't just fall down onto the floor and then you can sweep them up or vacuum them up. When you crumb in space, you get this cloud of crumbs that begins to fly everywhere, and it's actually really hard to contain. And they end up flying all around the space station. And so it's really difficult. And so we try not to crumb. We try to eat foods like tortillas that don't create as many crumbs as some other types of food.
Hi, my name is Catherine Vaughn, a teacher here at Brighton Elementary. I want to say thank you to the crew of the space station and NASA for inspiring my students today. I hope you all feel as inspired as I do, and I can't wait to see our young explorers at Brighton continue to reach for the stars.
Thank you so much for all the questions, Brighton Elementary School. We hope you enjoyed your time on board the International Space Station.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you to all participants. Station, we're now resuming operational audio communications.